We're living on a disk, floating through space, with a tiny sun. We're living on a disk, floating through space.
And hello, I'm Fight the Flat Earth. Welcome back to the channel that likes to fill stupidity's pockets with rocks and throw it in a river. How you all guys doing? Today is a very special episode of Flefs Are Idiots because it's Jeranism and he deserves the best treatment. I've got with me the wonderful Team Skeptic with a moving, talking avatar.
I don't know, but I think he fucked up.
Is he gone?
Me? No, I'm here.
Hey, how you doing, team?
Oh, I'm doing good.
And I've got the king of Jeranism debunking, Mr. Red's Rhetoric.
Oh God. I had a vision that I would amount to something in my life. Unfortunately, I am best known for debunking a fucking idiot ding on the internet.
Yep. Oh, well, thanks guys for joining me today. So what we're going to do is, we should probably tell you what this is about first. If you see the fancy graphic just to the side there, this isn't just an episode of Flefs Are Idiots. This is the launch of a new channel that Team Skeptic and I are putting together. Team, do you want to tell the people?
Yeah. It's a new channel that we're starting called Science or Satire, the SOS show. We'll basically be doing, eventually we'll get to daily content. We're not going to overextend ourselves right now. We're just going to start out with 1 or 2 episodes a week. And we have another channel. Do you have the link in the description, Fight the Flat Earth?
Yeah, I should get that, shouldn't I?
Yes, you probably should. Yeah, check the description once he has it updated, and you'll find a link in there to a channel. We don't have any content up now. This is actually going to be our first video we post on that channel.
Yeah.
So if you're in the live chat tonight, you're one of the lucky few that can say when we have a 50 million subs that you were here when we had less than 100. So hurry up and run over there, click the subscribe button, and catch the future live episodes on that channel.
Yeah, so the link, I've put the link to the channel in the chat, and I've changed the description. It should be there now. So yeah, we'll be launching that channel soon. Once we've done with this episode of Flefs Are Idiots, I'm going to take it down and kind of remake it as a proper episode of Flefs Are Idiots, and then re-upload this video as our first show, episode 0, I guess, onto our new channel. But what we're going to do tonight is do a bit of live debunking of a Jeranism video, and we've got a pre-prepared video by Team that we're going to use as an intermission, and then I thought Reds could tell us about some of his, I don't know if best is the right words to use really, but most dumpster fire-ish interactions with Jeranism. You got plenty of those, right, Reds?
I guess it's fair to call it that. You're right. Best wouldn't be the word that I would use. I mean, is there saying that there is a best dumpster fire, that there is a best train wreck? I don't know. People will be like, bro, the fuck. So yeah.
Well, I'll say that if I were to compare Reds and like that symbiotic relationship, Jeranism thinks he grows his flat earth nuts, and every time he thinks he does, Red is there to kick him right back up into his fucking gut.
Yeah.
So he hasn't yet fully grown into his manhood for the flat earth because of Red's rhetoric. So good shit, Reds. Way to silence stupidity.
Steel toes, they always work.
Right, so what we're going to do is I've got a video that Jeranism brought out a while ago, and I think it's one of the best videos to debunk of Jeranism because it's like a collection of the most stupid things that he's ever said. So I'm going to get that ready to go now, and when we go through it, either team or Reds, if you want to stop at any point, just let me know. And then we can show everyone how stupid he is. Maybe just bear me 1 second. All right, move that down there. All right, so hopefully you guys can hear this. I'll probably need to screen share it for you to actually know. Bear with me. It's technology. I'm old. Give me a break. Right, you two can see that in there as well, yeah?
Yeah, we can see it.
All right. So this is Jeranism. At his worst
So
slash
the
best.
problem with this whole thing, if you ask me, is that you would think that they could mention other reasons that people are flat earthers. You know, like the fact that NASA has been lying about going to the moon for 50 years. You know, the fact that they took more photos on the moon than is even possible. Even when you multiply it out by the amount of people on the moon, the amount of time they were on the moon, you take all the images, take in the time that they were on video that we know of, and they would have been taking photos at a rate of like 1 every 10 seconds the rest of
So he thinks that it was impossible for them to take that amount of photos while they're on the moon.
Well, he doesn't understand what average actually means. You can average 1 every 10 seconds without literally having to take 1 every 10 seconds. In fact, if an astronaut saw something interesting, knowing that he didn't have a viewfinder to find the object, he might have snapped 5 or 6 photos at one time just to make sure that he captured what he was looking at physically. There's lots of reasons to explain why 1 every 10 seconds is not not illogical to think it's possible.
So it's just a normal Jeranism. I don't understand it, so it can't be real.
I also like to point out the glaring hypocrisy of Jism, how he likes to claim that, oh, math isn't reality, math isn't this, math isn't that. You can't use math to prove your point, and yet, how did he come up with that figure? How did he arrive at the conclusion that this was supposedly impossible? Oh, did he use math? So apparently, when he uses math, everything's okay. When we use math, oh no, fuck us, right?
Oh, yeah.
Right.
Because, maths isn't reality unless they want it to be.
Exactly.
It's just like the moon and the Earth's atmosphere. NASA lies, NASA lies, NASA lies. Look what NASA said. Look what NASA said. NASA said moon's in the atmosphere. They obviously knew the whole time. There's proof they lie all the time. Well, they lie all the time. How the fuck are you trusting that?
Yeah, basically, let's trust NASA on the things that we believe is a problem for the round Earth. Get the fuck out of here, dude. Intellectual dishonest piece of shit.
Yeah.
Yep.
time they're on the moon, completely and totally impossible, or that water always finds its level, or the fact that surveyors don't take...
Yeah, I know you got something to say about that, Reds.
Level does not mean flat. Stop using these words interchangeably. Stop it. You're proving how much of a fucking idiot you are.
Ding. There we go.
The other thing that flat earthers will do, and it kind of frustrates me and pisses me off about this, is they assume water to be one solid object. The ocean is not one solid object. The ocean is several trillions of trillions of trillions of trillions of trillions of molecules of water. Each one of those molecules is being affected independently by the pull of gravity.
Yeah.
It's the overall effect of all the force being pulled by all the molecules in the water that generate the pressure that the weight of the water is putting on the surface of the earth. So It's not like you're trying to bend steel around a ball. It's like you're trying to connect little individual pieces of steel around a ball, which isn't a problem at all.
Especially at the scale at which we're speaking. But even at the scale in which we are speaking, I was able to show curvature over water. And a lot of people have shown curvature over water. Why is it that these dipshits still say that there is no curvature over water when we have evidence of curvature over water? I
You're just paid by the
understand that.
government.
I mean, I understand that flat earthers lie, but they have got to get better at it. That has been my one piece of advice for Jism. Get better at lying because you suck at it.
Yeah, and when we present so much evidence of curvature that's exactly there, they just literally hand wave dismiss it and go, oh, but there's not curvature in this photo.
Yeah, of course.
So no matter what you show them, they've always got something that, oh, well, yeah, but I've got this one little bit of evidence that I think proves my point, so screw all the millions of bits of evidence that you've got.
Yeah, basically cherry picking at its finest.
Perspective into account, even though we know 100% that things appear to get smaller with distance.
Oh, perspective?
Oh my god, do I have to? Okay. Alpha equals 2 times the arctan of g over 2r. Alpha is the angular size of an object. G is the actual size of the object. R is the distance to the object. As an object gets further away from you, it will appear to shrink in your vision. And the reason that this is a problem for the flat earth is because that doesn't happen to the fucking sun. You fuck.
There's something called reality, guys. If
Yeah.
it doesn't match reality, discard that shit. Move on to the next proof or evidence or whatever you want to call it.
Or,
I mean,
dump
do
the
they
model
actually think
doesn't
that at
exist.
some point in the
Exactly.
distance parallel lines intersect?
That's got to be the most fucked up understanding of perspective ever. Parallel lines somehow intersecting in the distance because, fuck reality.
Yeah, man, who
My
needs it?
delusions are more entertaining than this reality shit.
Or that we can see Canagoo from 1,000 feet high when it's 175 miles away. I mean, we can.
Canagoo? Where's that?
I'll actually be honest here. I am not familiar with that specific proof, but I bet you it is just as easy to debunk as a lot of Jism's previously mentioned bullshit.
Yeah, he basically doesn't
I
understand the
guarantee
curve
you-
calculator, right?
I mean, there's some obvious things you can see in there. There's a lot of refraction going on. He'd have to show that you could see this at different times of the year under different conditions that would all still point to a flat Earth, not just that one time. Like, oh my God, look, this one photo we caught, which we don't normally catch. It's obvious that it's flat, right? No, it's just obvious that there was a lot of refraction that day. If you can show. Go ahead.
If that's the photo that he is referring to, I just want to point out the sun is shining through the mountain. So,
Yeah, on the bottom side.
So yeah, maybe the atmosphere was having a field day with that one. Just pointing that out.
Just doing what I wanted to.
I mean, yeah, it's right there. You can see it. It looks like it's under the fucking mountain above the horizon.
Either admit
This
what
just
we
proves
see,
it, guys.
or we can trust men who tell us that we actually don't see the mountain chain, that you see the sun and the moon cause mountains to rise a few thousand feet, displaying themselves perfectly for you at the horizon line. Or
Just as it's doing right there
Yeah.
in his video. It's literally doing it right there in his video. And he's like, they
I'm
want
gonna-
you to believe that this mountain is not floating in midair.
I'm going to play a video and then talk about exactly the opposite of what it is displaying.
Jism at his best.
they don't mention the
Or
Chicago
worse.
skyline, where the globe calls for the buildings to be hidden completely. But we can look at the
Has been
Skunk Bay
answered
footage, the
several
time lapse.
Reds?
Fuck's sake. Okay. Jeranism, Flat Wrong, Part 3, uploaded on my channel back in 2015. Jism, please stop bringing up points that I debunked back in 2015. All right? At the time that image was taken, the one thing that you and I both didn't take into account, mind you, is that Joshua, who took that photo that you are referring to, was 200 feet in the fucking air. That was called Warren Dunes. Those dunes are fucking massive. I should know. I've been there. But even if we were on the shoreline, which, by the way, when the picture was taken, they fucking weren't. But let's just say that they were. Give you a little bit of a head start there. the amount of refraction needed over 55 miles would be 0.12 degrees of refraction through 55 miles of atmosphere. 55 miles of atmosphere, 0.12 degrees of refraction. That's all that would be needed. Not only that, but I just want you to know that when in your previous calculations for figuring out how far under the horizon the Chicago skyline would be, you were wrong by 2,500 feet.
Oh, not just a little bit then.
Yeah. He kind of screwed the pooch on that one, but why let facts get in the way of flat Earth delusions? I guess.
I think I know why he thinks maths isn't reality, because he's really not very good at it.
Yeah, really, you think, huh?
Footage and see how weather affects our views of distant shores and how atmospheric effects can account for everything that we see and everything that we can't, or how.
Weather accounts for
actually
everything we see and everything we don't.
Okay, that's the problem with flat earthers. They want to pick and choose when they'll allow something to play a role in what they're seeing. Yes, atmosphere plays a role every time you look out into the distance. You're looking at things that are being refracted. You're looking at light that's being diffracted. You're looking at so many different things that are happening that are always going to be present every time you look out, because guess what? There's an atmosphere around us. That's why I don't really, me personally, I don't really try to debunk their claims on distances, because every one of their claims comes unfounded. There's never any controls that are taken. There's never any refractive indexes that are provided. It's always a looky here. This phenomenon proves the globe is lying because we shouldn't be able to see this. Well, again, can you see it tomorrow? Could you see it yesterday? Is this something you're seeing today? If it's something you can only see today, why? Explain that. And they never want to explain all that. They just want to say, look at this one piece of evidence, and the globe earthers will use atmospheric refraction anytime they want to say that what we're saying is bullshit. But, atmospheric refraction is only going to be the case when you see things floating in the air like boats and ships. Then there's atmospheric refraction. Anytime a ship appears to go below the horizon, it's perspective and compression, whatever the hell they want to call it.
Yeah. And then they'll find one example of a picture where they think they can see something further than they should be able to. And that is what they will use to debunk anything that you bring up. No matter what you say, they'll just go, but I've got a video that shows something you shouldn't be able to see. And that's called a proof by example fallacy. Well, I'm learning fallacies, guys, so that whenever I debate Nathan Oakley, I can make him shut up.
I want to call you guys out for being too charitable. They're not just doing everything that you just said that they're doing, because, well, they are. But added to that, they're bringing up so-called proofs that have already debunked. They have already been debunked, in Jeranism's case, from videos back in 2015. Get new material, okay? Stop bringing up shit that I already debunked back in 2015.
Yeah, but the thing is, that's kind of what they have to do, because there isn't any new arguments. I mean, I've only been doing this for like 5 months-ish, and I'm already seeing the same things repeated again. they don't have anything new. So
2015!
I know, but maybe they've forgotten because they're so stupid.
Maybe, but no. I refuse to believe that. I refuse to believe that Jeranism forgot. Because when I made that video, I made sure that video was made in such a way that when it was rammed up Jeranism's ass, it would be impossible to forget. I guarantee you, his ass is still bleeding to this day from that video and the other 3 that I made. But, those maybe for a different time. But in this case, part 3, yeah, when I made that, I made it very clear. Dude, your shit's been debunked. Shut the fuck up. And here he is still spewing the same old fucking garbage.
They explain our observations without assuming the Earth is a giant ball in space, just like density and buoyancy can completely explain gravity.
Oh, my God.
No, it fucking can't.
This hurts my brain so much, and I honestly feel like I go around in circles constantly trying to explain how density and buoyancy in no way can replace gravity. Because no matter how far they go, they go, oh, well, the reason it's being pushed down is because the atmosphere above it is pushing everything down. But then what's pulling that atmosphere down? And take that density tower in a 0G plane, and what happens to it?
Yeah, so
It
basically...
loses its vector of organization.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah, so let's see. Density explains gravity. Density explains why everything falls. So basically, the atmosphere around it provides the directional influence. Okay, why do things still fall in a vacuum? No atmosphere, no directional influence. I should be fucking floating. Oh, I'm not? Then suck a dick, Jaren.
No. Their answer to that, literally, Flat Earth Jesus said this last night, or maybe it was.
I think it was the way to
Houthi. He said, when you put it when you put it into the vacuum and you remove the atmosphere, you're essentially bringing the atmosphere close to zero. So you're still got air. It's still a relative density thing. I mean, that's their argument. That's fine. You can argue that's the point, but they still have yet to be able to explain why it's down.
I mean
why is it always down? Every single time, it's straight fucking towards the ground. Never at an angle, never up, never to the right or left. Straight fucking down.
It's like this buoyancy, density bullshit that they keep going on about. They don't seem to understand. If they actually look up the equations that is associated with their fucking claim, they will find a G in that equation. I'm not sure. This is more of a question for Desert File, but since he's not here right now, I'll just ask you, Fight. What does that G mean in that equation?
Gravity, you fucking idiot.
Yes, I love it.
It hurts my brain more every time, and no matter how much you explain how everything they're talking about actually requires gravity, it just doesn't matter. And this is what I'm going around with Sleeping Warrior about at the moment. But
And the only thing they can't explain, of course, is how the Earth became a sphere. No gravity.
except we totally can, of course, because, you know, that's what happens when stuff pulls towards the center like that. And
gravity, you fucking retard.
Yeah.
Seriously, that was okay. You know what? Okay, and deep breaths, and take a swig.
Bob the Science Guy makes a really good point. Why does your iPhone screen change when you rotate the phone? I mean, it's very simple. It's not density and buoyancy. There's no buoyancy involved in that situation whatsoever. It's completely ignorant to the volume or to the density of the outside medium. But every single time you turn it, it flips, no matter what.
Listen. Apple, Samsung, LG, OnePlus, fucking Nokia, they're all in on the conspiracy, guys. They're all in it. They've all been paid by the fucking lizard people, Illuminati, and they're out for your souls, and it won't be long until they take over the fucking world, which, as you know, is flat, based on absolutely fucking nothing. Yeah.
Someone asks in the chat, Reds, if gravity is real, why doesn't his erection go down?
They have a phone number you're supposed to call, man.
Listen, there's a phone number that you were supposed to call if it lasts longer than 4 hours. Remember.
I mean, we could show him your face. That would work.
That is a limit. All right, 4 hours. Consult a medical professional.
Bob the Science Guy's in the chat. He can help you.
Blue pill is an anti-gravity penis pill, and it wears off after 4 hours or less. Hopefully,
supposed to.
I think. I guess maybe.
This unseen force must exist because everything must pull to the center. It's required by the model that has been built on for hundreds of years. How about ignore asteroids and meteors, or who chooses which gravity?
Ignore asteroids and meteors. I mean, I'd rather not. Those things can be dangerous.
I mean, okay. Good luck with that, Jared. Just saying.
Yeah, I mean, one thing that they can't really explain is if we're in a flat Earth with a dome, then how come meteorites and asteroids like hit our planet and stuff?
Yeah, where do they come from?
Yeah.
Craters don't come from space rocks, volcano, geyser, sinkhole, sulfur pocket. Hey, Jaren, did you know that there's certain clues as to what caused the giant hole in the ground? And there's this certain class of scientists that actually go on location to figure out those clues and figure out, hey, is this due to a volcano? Is this due to a geyser? Is this due to a fucking sinkhole or a sulfur pocket? And guess what? If those people who went out to the field don't find anything that is similar to volcanoes, geysers, sinkholes, or sulfur pockets, then what are they left to conclude? Especially given the evidence that is left behind. Evidence of, like, let's say, a rock that is probably older than the Earth itself. Oh, I don't know, maybe a fucking clump of rock from space? But no, fuck that. Fuck all that shit. Geology is totally in on the conspiracy.
Yeah, because, volcanoes are nothing to do with, stuff underground and lava and everything. Of course not.
Oh no, this guy is just a fucking expert on everything.
It's funny that the expertise that is that they have is picture based. Like, they look and they go, "Oh shit, look. It looks really similar to each one. They must be the same, or they could be the same. Therefore they are the same." That's not, I think, is that a false equivalence when you do that? When you say, "Oh, look, they all have the same shape. They must be from the same
yeah, I think that's a false equivalence fallacy.
Geological event." No, they can be different. Circles are circles. They are all, it's by definition. A lot of things cause a circle because things radiate. Energy radiates out from points.
Basically, what we're trying to say, Jaren, is that a dust devil isn't the same as a tornado. One is fun to look at. The other will fuck up your house.
And a tornado ain't the same as a fucking hurricane.
Exactly.
No.
And I should know. I live in Florida.
And also, what is a hurricane? That is two different pressure systems coexisting without a physical barrier.
What a hurricane is well, once it gets a name, is basically a big giant fuck you to the state of Florida.
Yeah, always Florida.
Always Florida. My house got fucked
do you think
over
if you moved, the hurricanes would go somewhere else?
Yeah, you think, but
well.
well.
That's why I never invited him to come live in Texas. I don't want no hurricanes here.
The Einsteinian, where it's isn't a pull force but a push force because mass bends the fabric.
Back a set there.
Ignore asteroids and meteors, or who chooses which gravity? Einsteinian, where it's isn't a pull force.
This whole choose which gravity, Einsteinian or Newtonian. It's one of the biggest frustrations I'm having with flat earthers at the moment, right, is trying to explain to them that Einsteinian gravity didn't throw Newtonian gravity out the window. We didn't completely disregard everything that Newton came up with. Einstein literally expanded upon the knowledge that Newton had. As far as Newton was concerned, it was an intrinsic property of matter that instantaneously attracted everything to everything. But and he could calculate a force based on what we could measure with the Cavendish experiment. We know how what force it was applying because there's an acceleration of 9.8 meters per second down. So it works, it's real. But what Einstein did, he came along and explained how it wasn't an invisible force, but the curvature of space-time that was literally changing the localities of things. And I suppose you could refer to it as a fictitious force because it's within a particular reference frame. Yeah. But Einsteinian gravity and Newtonian gravity are literally two sides of the same coin.
Go ahead. It follows along a total misunderstanding of the history and the science and the math behind it. A total misunderstanding of that. But hey, he's a flat earther. He doesn't need to do research. He watched a few videos on YouTube.
That was his research.
And he's a fucking idiot.
Oh, well.
And please, no one say the words "he snapped the wand in two" around me. I'm struggling with that phrase after hearing Sleeping Warrior say it about 5,000 times.
Yeah, of course. Although, let me go ahead and point to you guys that Jeranism absolutely sucks at doing his homework in regards to the history of past figures such as, like, Kepler or Tycho Brahe or Newton, Einstein, basically it doesn't matter. If he tries to research any of those individuals, any of the giants whose shoulders we now stand on, he will fuck it up. Like, seriously. Cool Hard Logic made a video called World of Batshit. I believe it's episode 6, and the title of the video is called Sphereless. And he goes into excruciating detail about how Jeranism attempted to research this subject, royally fucked it up, and then proceeds to correct him on every single point. Now, Jeranism's response to this wasn't to admit that he was wrong and that he fucked up. Jeranism's response to this was to quietly and silently put the video on private.
Yeah, because
Really?
that's another thing. I don't know if they're going to cover that or not. The Tycho Brahe sphereless in this video for Jeranism, but that's also one of the biggest misconceptions that flat earthers get. It's one of those, oh, it's a gotcha moment. What was Tycho Brahe talking about? Well, Tycho Brahe wasn't talking about planets not being spheres. He was talking about the celestial spheres that people used to believe that planets were embedded in that circled the Earth. So you can't cherry pick quote mine and misrepresent some stuff like that and expect that to be evidence to support your assertion or your belief. It's not. It's just a misrepresentation, and it makes you look weak. So if you're a flat earther out there and you intend on using Tycho Brahe as fucking evidence for a flat Earth, don't do it, because people like me exist that will call you a fucking idiot.
Force, but a push force because mass bends the fabric of space-time? Or is it Newtonian gravity? Which one are we actually looking at?
They're the same thing, you fucking idiot. Thank you.
Don't mention that NASA trains in a pool, as
I'm
if
on
this
it
training
today.
was anything like space, with somebody swimming behind you, carrying all your cords and handing you all your tools.
All right, Jaren, you answer me this. What other way do you think we could practically train our astronauts to simulate an environment similar to zero-G, where they could maintain that environment over long periods of time? Do you happen to have a zero-gravity chamber handy?
I would love for you to show me how that works, Jaren. Yeah, I mean, as far as what we have available to us, the neutral buoyancy lab, that's as good as it's going to get, at least for the foreseeable future. So,
Is that what this training establishment is
eat
called?
a dick, maybe?
So I didn't. So is this where they train? Is it called the neutral buoyancy lab? I didn't realize that.
Yep, the neutral buoyancy lab, correct.
Makes sense.
And basically the name is self-explanatory.
I honestly want to know how many astronauts have peed in that pool.
I hope to be one of them one day.
Yeah,
Oh.
I'm a fucking idiot.
Well, that doesn't happen in space. Why the hell would we practice like that? I don't know. It doesn't make any sense to me. How about the idiotic design of the ISS?
The idiotic design of the ISS.
Oh no, as someone who actually filmed the damn thing, it doesn't look so idiotic to me. I mean, after all, it works.
Not only did you film it, but you and, was it Astronomy Live, calculated the exact distance to it?
Oh, we did more than just that. I just calculated its distance from us, the observer, and its altitude. Astronomy Live went a lot further with the data that we gathered, where we measured its size and its speed. And guess what? Everything checks out. NASA wasn't bullshitting.
So what speed was it going?
What was it? It was Astronomy Live was able to calculate at 7.5 kilometers per second based on our video.
Right, and if a craft was traveling that fast in our atmosphere, what would happen to it?
It would happen a lot like what happened to a test missile on a video posted by Scott Manley, where you see this thing going at Mach 10 and it starts glowing white hot. Now, I don't think that a craft could survive going through that much abuse for, I don't know, 20 fucking years.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the other thing. They want us to believe that man has no ability, no technology, no ingenuity to put an object in space. Just to put an object in space and orbit the Earth. But we can create things that move at 7.5 kilometers through seconds through our atmosphere without burning up. Our technology is that good, but it's not good enough to put an object into orbit.
Yeah, of course. People seem to forget that there's these things called rockets, and they work.
Yep, which I proved in a recent video, guys. Just go and check out the most recent episode of Explaining Simple Stuff to Flerfs.
No engineer would ever put every operating cable and control and cord and multiplexer, demultiplexer, all of it they put on the outside of the craft. It makes no sense. It's actually embarrassing to think that any engineer would come up with that design. The impossibility of it, or that it's maintained and cleaned by a 3-person crew. I mean,
why is that hard to believe?
I don't seem to understand. I mean, let's face facts here. You're inside the space station. In space, you cannot go anywhere else. That's literally where you spend all of your fucking time. Trust me, you got time, motherfucker, to clean the station.
Yeah.
You got time.
Not just that, but let's look at this logically. How many people does it take to clean up after one person? One person. All he has to do is pick up after himself. So if there's 3 people up there, they're only making the mess that 3 people can possibly make. So if they're cleaning up extensively, it's not going to be that hard for 3 people to keep it clean all the time. Laboratory clean, in fact.
Yeah.
Like, when they cut their hair, they have a hose to suck the hair away so that there's no mess created in the first place. I'm sure that they're very much about clean as you go as well. They're not just going to leave a bunch of mess around as they go, because that's going to make more work for them to do.
At that point, it becomes just a very simple process of preventative maintenance. And also another thing, going on to Jeranism, talking about the design of the International Space Station, you do know that not every critical component can be inside the station. All right, I don't know which engineer that you fucking spoke to, but do me a favor, fire them. Fire them right now.
Yeah.
that is ridiculous. The amount
You're
of
ridiculous.
cleaning, dusting, and everything else that would need to be done on that, and the seal protection, and it's just not there. You know, if they get a leak because they're little O-rings, well, you got a leak. Then you do a spacewalk, I guess. Don't mention the $53 million a day. That might...
Okay, I won't mention the $53 million a day. Anyone else want to mention it?
Shit. I heard a statistic that NASA gets half a penny for every dollar the government spends, and for that we get a window to the universe. You know what?
Yeah.
I vote to make it a full penny.
Yeah. I mean, I'm not American, but I'd pay towards NASA because, you know, they're pushing the boundaries of human ingenuity every day. You know, it's thanks to organizations like NASA that the human race will actually be able to exist in the future. But if Jeranism wants to ignore all their advances and not take advantage of any of them, then cool, that's called natural selection.
Yep.
be a little bit too much for people to grasp. Like, what do you mean? Who gets $53 million a day? NASA does. What do they do with it? I don't know. Launch rockets about once a month into the sky?
They sent
That's
people
right
to
there
the moon
alone is
6
almost
times.
$52 million probably per launch, if not more. I'm sure. What is a launch run, Red? What is a single launch run for NASA average?
For,
think
for a SpaceX Falcon 9 on a full reusable status, you're looking at around $58 million.
and he's already saying they're doing that once a month at least. So that right there is $500 million, 500 fucking something million dollars.
Not only that, but NASA is actually taking steps to make sure that they're not spending as much money as they can. They are saving money wherever they can. For example, the reason why they're using ULA or orbital ATK or SpaceX is because these are crafts and vehicles that they did not have to invest any money into designing. So they are maintained by private entities, and they are a lot cheaper to run and launch than it would be if those were NASA-owned vehicles. We all see the colossal shit show that's happening with the SLS. So now they're talking about launching the Orion on private vehicles simply because it's cheaper. So NASA is doing whatever they can to make space travel cheap, but the fact remains that space is hard. Space is expensive. All right, I heard that it's like what $30,000 to get 1 kilogram into orbit, and we're talking about food, supplies, people, parts for the space station, rovers to fucking Mars and shit, flybys of Pluto. Yeah, this type of discovery doesn't come cheap. You have a better way of doing it? Fucking tell me. Invent the space elevator if you can. Love to see you pull that shit off, dick.
No, it's far easier to just deny space travel completely.
Well, you got to also think about it like this. NASA's not just sending rockets up. They're also, they do like training here on the ground. They have machinery for that. They have to pay the fucking employees of NASA. If this was all a big fuck you to the American public to steal all of our money, well, guess what? NASA's probably making like $6.66 a month in profit, because everything else is being spent on everybody and everything that's needed to perpetuate this lie. It's the most inefficient lie in the history of man.
That's why when you go in, NASA tries to make back money whenever they can, which is why I was more than happy to pay the $33 it costed me to actually park my vehicle. I was more than happy to pay that $33. And then I was even more happy to pay the $6.66 for a can of soda. I was more than happy to do that. So what the fuck?
Yeah. Jeranism must think that rocket fuel is just, really, really cheap or something.
It costs $200,000 to fill up a Falcon 9. $200,000. And if they have to scrub it, all that fuel cannot be reused. It gets vented.
Wow, that must be painful to do.
Yeah, that's why they're doing their load and go thing, because the fuel needs to be kept really cold. And guess what? Worm fuel tends to off gas.
They go pretty, and then they do a sonic boom from the sky, and people like Red's Rhetoric have an orgasm.
Did you have an orgasm?
Oh no, a shattering orgasm.
That's the only thing I really noticed. Let's see. We don't mention that there's no cameras on the moon looking back at Earth, because if we can get to the moon so easily, we can put all these robots there, and we can put the LRO to go around and take.
Yeah, it's not easy to get to the moon. And why would we make an entire trip just to put a camera back to look at the Earth when we already have cameras that are in orbit taking pictures of the Earth already?
Yeah,
that don't have to worry about the brightness of the surface getting in the way of taking of the exposure and whatnot. Come on, get the fuck out of here with that bullshit ass excuse.
But didn't they have a 24-hour stream for a while?
It literally took me 2 seconds to go on Google and look up an image of Earth taken by the LRO, which, by the way, Jeranism stands for the Lunar Reconnaissance Orbiter. Yes, it's not on the surface, but hey, if you're not going to accept footage from the LRO, who the fuck do you think you're fooling when you say that you will accept images taken from the surface? You won't believe anything NASA gives you. You will dismiss it all as CGI. Because fuck reality.
But like it says there, hey NASA, why haven't you done this yet? The thing I always say is, why the fuck are NASA doing anything for you in the first place? NASA aren't there to prove the shape of the Earth to you. That's not the purpose of NASA. NASA don't give a fuck that you're so stupid that you think the Earth's flat.
Yeah,
and these jackasses wouldn't accept it if it did. If they came out and said, okay guys, look, we did what you said. We flew up an astronaut. Here's the video of the astronaut putting the camera. You can watch it live. In fact, we're going to shoot a laser from the surface of Earth to show you that the camera's really there, and you're going to see this laser on the camera's eye, and all this could go flawlessly, and a flat earth will come by and go, look how flawless that was. That's obvious CGI.
I also like to point out this type of whining and the hypocrisy of them whining about NASA and their budget. So basically, instead of spending their money on, actually making discoveries, let's go ahead and waste money to land a camera on the moon and find some way to relay that information back to us at such a speed that we can stream it at 4K at 60 frames per second. Oh, but NASA's wasting money. NASA's wasting money. You see this kind of double standard that they want to put on, And also on top of this is coming from a guy that literally said, oh, I don't understand why it took so long to get to the moon. Why don't you just get into space and then wait? And we're traveling 66,000 miles an hour. You can get into space and then wait for the moon to catch up to you. And then it would only take you 4 hours.
That was
because
brilliant.
inertia stops being a thing in space.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Pictures. We can do all that.
You should.
What?
I love the rocket one. Go up and make a rocket. Why does it not go straight up? Why didn't it go straight up and make a turn?
Yeah, that was that one, my friend, is Jeranism Flat Wrong Part 2.
Right.
And then M. Benz pointed out that, oh, look, there's this picture of the rocket taking off in a curve, but NASA have never done that before.
Yeah, and then you quite literally have my entire playlist of 30-plus launches seeing all of them do just that. And by the way, dipshit, that launch, Mr. M. Benz, was the Delta IV Heavy. Guess who was there to see that? I love it. These guys keep talking about shit that I have a first-hand account of that they are not bullshitting the masses, and yet they don't want to listen to it. They would rather have NASA burn money to put a 4K camera on the moon and build up the network to support streaming that quality back to Earth, and then come back at them later saying, why are you guys wasting so much money?
Talking about M. Benz, I'd just like to point out that since Team Skeptic did his videos on M. Benz hasn't made any videos. I think you killed his channel, dude.
I mean, listen to this shit. It's I want NASA to stop spending money, but I want NASA to prove something to me that will cost money. Make up your fucking mind, dude.
Said it would be to sit a camera on the moon, face the Earth. There would be no more questions about eclipses. We could show it in all the schools, but they don't have it. Wonder why. How about the fact that there's no 24/7 video feed of the Earth from the craft that's in orbit of the Earth?
Right. The one thing that the flat earthers seem to not understand is that it's not always in contact with NASA. It's orbiting the Earth at a really fast rate. So there's not 100% of the time that it's going to have satellites and everything in the right place to be able to broadcast all of the time, right?
Well, not only that, but we also have a spacecraft up there called Himawari that takes a picture of the Earth every 10 minutes and has never missed a beat. And yet they don't accept that. So let's hypothetically say that we built up the infrastructure to support a non-interrupting stream from the International Space Station. They would reject that as quickly as they have rejected the Himawari satellite. Basically, you cannot do anything to satisfy it. And guess what? Guess what? Not only can you do nothing to satisfy these fucktards, even if you were able to do that, even if it would be the case of, oh, now I want it in 4K. Now I want it at 60 frames per second. Now I want you to attach that 4K stream at 60 frames per second on a telescope so that you can look at people upside down in Australia and fucking New Zealand and shit. I'm like, there is no up in space.
Yeah.
Nope.
That's one of the things right there. And then they'll say something like, I want that 4K in 60 frames per second. And then when you have a frame dropout, they're like, oh, that's where they switched the feed right there. Now it's all fake. They switched the feed right there.
Yep. And now that that's done, I go, well, I saw one frame drop from a live stream. Therefore, the only way NASA will satisfy me now is to have it in like 11K 360 degree camera that's streamed perfectly to my headset where I can look around and verify shit. And I should be able to zoom a metric fuck ton so I can see my neighbor walk out of his door in his underwear while getting the morning paper.
And not to mention that they're bitching about the single frame being dropped while they're having multiple frames dropped on their while they're live streaming from their cell phone.
Exactly.
You're like, of course, NASA should be able to do it flawlessly, but they can't figure out.
While in orbit.
They can't even figure out how to turn the phone sideways when recording.
Yeah,
What
so-
they don't
so basically-
realize also is that they want all these really good quality images and videos and stuff, but the cameras that are up there actually get destroyed really quickly by like cosmic rays and stuff. Like it ends up being fuzzy. So you don't want NASA to spend money, but you also want them to constantly replace the best possible quality cameras and send them to space.
Yeah, the best quality cameras, which by the way are a lot cheaper to replace than they are to build and test and verify, one that is as Megadeth as you want it to be. Basically, you're asking NASA to put Red out of fucking business. Red cameras, the best in the fucking industry. You're asking NASA to put Red cameras out of fucking business.
But they
that'll
still
give-
want to
that'll
touch
give
Tim
it fucking-
Awari. But they would
I mean,
still
that-
want to touch Tim Awari, though.
Yeah.
They still won't touch it, even though it's an 11,000 by 11,000 resolution. They won't fucking touch that shit, even though it puts any of their fucking stream and any of their fucking observations to shame. They won't touch it. And
shit
they'll
off the
just reject
cameras.
it outright. But they want the space station to go ahead and invest money in something that they're just going to reject anyway. Dude, fuck off.
Otherwise,
Yeah,
we'd have to
fuck off.
beam them off satellites back to Earth. Whew, that'd be way too hard. Don't mention that there's boats over the horizon. Big mistake there, but that wasn't mentioned by IFL Science. Yeah.
Boats over the horizon.
Yeah. Boats over the horizon, guys.
Because
I
No.
know.
Like the visual, they ask for the visual proof that they can observe and experience in real life. And you say, oh, yeah, go out to the beach. You can watch boats go over the horizon. And they go, nope, that's not boats going over the horizon. That's boats compressing from the bottom up.
Yeah.
What?
Yeah, I didn't.
Mean.
I mean, not only did I see boats disappear over the horizon, but I also saw 300 feet of Tampa Bay Tampa completely miss out because it was being blocked by the curvature over Tampa Bay. So 300 feet of tower missing when looking across Tampa Bay. 300 feet.
that's some
That's
impressive
not- that's
compression.
not an accident. Yeah, except they're kind of fucked on that because my video shows none of that. Quite literally none of that. I cherry-picked a day to make sure that on the day that I did my observation, it was clear as fuck. I had to go out there multiple times to find the best conditions to do my observation at. And when I finally found it, these guys bitch, moan, and complain and make up every excuse in the book, none of which actually hold any water.
IFL Science, yeah. The fact that, hey, when boats go away, they disappear behind what looks like the horizon to your eye. Pull out your camera, zoom in, and there's the boat again.
That's because, you idiot, your eyes literally can't resolve things when they're too far away. So you get a tool which is designed to zoom in and allow you to see things that are further away. Now what you do is keep that tool zoomed in and watch that boat go over the horizon. It's not coming back, is it?
Yep. Not only that, but myself and Sean Hufford, when we were at Warren Dunes looking at the Chicago skyline, we had it at two different zooms. We had one Nikon P900 at half zoom, or a little less than half, and we had another one at max zoom. And guess what? The amount of towers that we were able to see was exactly the same between the two zoom levels. So simply zooming in more isn't going to magically bring the ship back over the horizon. That shit does not fucking happen.
No, because cameras aren't magic, which, flat earthers literally seem to have attached this magical property to the P900 and P1000.
They have, and which is why I use that camera to debunk their bullshit. Because now they're having a severe double standard of the Nikon P900. The Nikon P900 is great. Oh, now it's shit because it debunked my bullshit. Basically, what I'm trying to say is, no matter how hard you try, the P900 will never be able to zoom in far enough to see the sun again after it's set. So go out to a beach with a Nikon P900 or a P1000. Don't give a shit. Have it all the way zoomed out. All right, no zoom whatsoever. Wait for the sun to just go under the horizon. Now start zooming in like a fucking madman. It will not come back. Zoom will not make that sun appear again. Do it and prove me wrong.
I would love for them to do it.
Yeah, none of them will. None of them will.
Imagine
Hey,
that.
Ranty, there's your next experiment, bro.
Talking about Ranty, he is next week's target for Flerfs Are Idiots. So the Creaky Blinders helped me out with that one.
Actually go over any crew,
Yeah.
did it? They don't mention that. Yeah, leave out the idea of plane flights that make no sense on the globe, ones that travel from southern South America up north to, say, Frankfurt, and then down to Dubai or down to Johannesburg. Don't mention any of that.
Hang on.
You can pause that there.
Didn't Bob the science guy just debunk this bullshit?
Oh, yeah. Very much so.
Okay, so yeah, that was easy.
You got something to say on that, team?
Well, yeah, I just want to say that there's a lot. A lot of flat earthers have abandoned that southern flights bullshit that they used to say all the time. There are no southern flights, and now they've shown that there's hundreds of southern flights a day that are nonstop between these places that they say should never be able to be reached, and the time they say it should be reached on flat Earth. The paths that planes take, what people have to understand is that flying or operating a commercial airliner is not just saying, hey, we're just going to fly every day from Perth to Santiago, or Sydney to Santiago. If they don't have a reason to go that way, or let's say it's typically a normal slow flying day, they may have reduced the number of flights that go directly to Santiago that day, and it might need to go to LA for a layover. That's simple logistics.
Yeah.
That's simple airline operation that's trying to maintain what's considered their most efficient business model. And it doesn't give a fuck whether you think the world is flat or not.
Yeah. There's several things to consider. Is the fact that most of the landmass is in the Northern Hemisphere. So, it makes sense that that's where most of the flights would be. But there's also this thing, I think it's called cribbage, where only companies that are native to the certain countries are allowed to operate out of them. So you only get like southern airlines that are based in southern hemisphere countries operating in those areas. So you're not going to find a BA flight going from Australia to South Africa, but you'll probably find a bunch of flights from Australian and South African companies.
Like I said, Bob the science guy nailed it completely. Watch his video, subscribe.
Yeah, definitely. Everyone sub to Bob the Science Guy. He's amazing.
That might to make people look into it. How about the lack of undersea cables from Australia or New Zealand to South America, or the lack of cruises between the same two places? They don't mention that at all. Don't mention the Earth.Null site.
Hey, stop it there. That's a pointless cruise to take. Let's say from Australia from Perth to Africa, let's say. That's like some of the most deadliest waters in the world, the Indian Ocean, the Southern Indian Ocean, that's like a pretty deadly place. There's obvious reasons why they don't just, unless you have a reason for being out there, you don't just go out into very remote parts where if your ship happens to sink, nobody can get to you to save you.
Yeah. Look, there's nothing around here, So you're right.
Or beyond Cape Horn, I think is what it's called, right? And that Cape Horn down at the bottom of South Africa. You continue out that way. There's even no landmass even beyond that. There's no reason to have a cruise down there.
It makes sense that cruises would be closer to land, but it doesn't mean that there isn't cruises that go down here, because you can literally go and book cruises to Antarctica. So.
But that's still staying within the local things. But they do actually have shipping routes that run in the areas that they say no cruise liners go. Well, yeah, that's the reason no cruise liners go there, is because they don't have a need to be there. For the shipping lanes, it's a whole different ball game. They have to be there to get stuff shipped back and forth from different parts of the world. So they have to go through those seas. The military has to go through those seas. They're not completely void of ships. They're just completely devoid of passenger ships. What are you doing out there? What would you want to go out there for? To just go out there and say, oh, look, this is the roughest seas in the world, and what can I see? Nothing but sky and water. That's it. There's nobody wants to pay for that.
Yeah, exactly.
School site remove the AE map.
Sorry, Red, did you say
just
something?
do whatever Jeranism wants, no matter how It makes no sense whatsoever. That is the only way he's going to be happy, and then he's going to reject it outright.
Once people started to catch on to the fact that everything made sense on the AE map.
Right, so here he's talking about the trade winds and how he thinks this makes much more sense. But, I mean, the reason for the trade winds is the Coriolis effect, right? It's the fact that there's a differentiation between the northern and the southern hemispheres because it's a globe spinning. So that literally causes a constant easterly winds, which is the trade winds. But on a flat Earth map, the trade winds would just be a constant, really fast ring. And that isn't really what you see, is it?
Yeah, but don't let facts get in the way of bullshit. Jeranism loves the taste of it.
Hey, Ugly German Truth just did make a correction for me. Cape Horn is actually the southern tip of South America, and Cape of Good Hope is the southern tip of Africa. So
they didn't
good
mention
catch.
that, did they? They didn't mention that the jet streams on a flat Earth make sense versus the supposed 300 mile per hour easterly jet stream in the south that is spinning 300
He's just
miles
lying
per hour
there.
fast.
Just lying.
He's absolutely lying. He's absolutely lying. It shows in my video when he says, look here, he shows the exact same map, exact same animation. And he says, the jet streams get up to 250 miles an hour or more. You know, yes, they have gusts of winds that are inside of the atmosphere traveling at a certain speed. But here he's sitting there asserting as though we have constant 300 mile per hour winds all the time. No, if we had 300 miles per hour winds, that would be science news to everybody.
Yeah.
Faster than the Earth in the direction that the Earth spins. That's still a big one, and people can't grasp it. Take a basketball, spin
Flat
it on your
earthers can't
finger,
grasp
and then realize if that was the Earth, that there has to be a wind going in the same direction as the Earth, 300 miles per hour faster than it. Does that make sense to anybody? Sure, shouldn't.
Nothing makes sense to you, Jeranism, but yeah, you'll see more about that in Team's video soon, so we'll just carry on.
How about the problem with the east-west on a globe, as I showed last week, or trying to think of these off the top of my head. I don't know. Coriolis. We have a problem with Coriolis. It does not exist on a spinning planet with an attached spinning atmosphere.
How do they get that? How does he come up with that right there? How does he say Coriolis should not exist when it is exactly explained 100% by having different tangential speeds at different lines of latitude?
Yeah.
Or longitude.
I'll tell you how. I'll tell you how. Team, do you have a Taco Bell?
A Taco Bell?
Meat tubes.
Do you have a Taco Bell that's near you?
Yes, I have a Taco Bell that's near me.
I need you to hide all of any sort of medication that can calm your stomach, and I need you to eat one of everything off of the Taco Bell menu, including their breakfast. This has to be a morning to evening endeavor. After it feels like your gut is about to explode, just shit everything on the wall. That right there is how Jism comes up with his ideas.
Well, so just a quick break, because we were actually having this conversation yesterday, and maybe you remember it, or maybe I've just been Mandela'd. Do you ever remember the taco meat coming out of a squeezable meat tube? I do. Okay.
Ugh.
Yeah. People are saying that I've been either Mandela'd or I ate too much Taco Bell, that I hallucinated seeing the meat tube. But I swear, that's the reason I don't eat a Taco Bell, because they used to squirt their meat onto the tortilla, and I just can't do it, man.
Yeah, you're gonna have to eat all of that. You're gonna have to eat all of that and then shit on the wall, and that's how Jism comes up with his ideas.
This show is sponsored by Taco Bueno.
Yeah. Exactly.
Wouldn't make any sense. We have no evidence of a gas atmosphere without a container.
Oh my god, this. Gravity, you retard.
Oh.
Gravity.
No. We actually do have a evidence of that, and we'll have to show that one day. It was shown in one of my last videos. It's the sodium hexafluoride. I believe it's sulfur hexafluoride. I'm sorry, not sodium. Sulfur hexafluoride. You put it into a container and you make sure it's settled enough. And guess what? That is one denser, higher pressure
Medium.
system next to a lower pressure system with no container whatsoever.
Not only
At
that,
all, zero.
by the mere fact that my rockets, don't blow the fuck up by smashing into a dome, and also show the exhaust gases expanding as they're gaining higher and higher altitude, we see that there is indeed an area of pressure next to an area of very low or no pressure, to the point where the gases expand so wide you can't even see it escaping out of the rocket nozzle. I have filmed this not once, but twice.
I presented it as my main argument yesterday against the way it's a Houthi as proof that space exists.
Yeah, there is such a... and not only that, but I was able to measure the altitude of the International Space Station. Astronomy Live was able to measure its size and speed. That speed is impossible in atmosphere. The shit would be burning up. It would be white hot. Friction is a thing.
Oh, yeah.
And guess what? The space station is not experiencing very much of? Friction! Because it's in a fucking vacuum, you shithead! Fuck! This shit has been demonstrated to be the case, not by NASA, but by people who are sick and tired of hearing about the flat earth bullshit that decided to drive 2 fucking hours to do this shit because you guys were too fucking lazy to get off your fucking asses and do it yourself. No, you would rather scam your fucking subscribers, your Patreon people, whatever, for a gyro, which you're then just gonna hide the fucking results from. Fuck you.
That was an awesome rant. I think I might clip that.
Or no proof of a 93 million mile distance sun. Look at my video called Scaling Indifference, telling us that we can adjust the sizes and distances, and the observation remains the same from Earth because it remains the same.
Oh, is this the crap where he says that, I could just say the moon is even bigger but further away?
In my video, Jeranism, the distance to the sun, I didn't show, but Cool Hard Logic showed how one would measure the distance to the sun. And here's the thing. On Twitter, I asked for some background music for a future project that myself and Astronomy Live are doing. I'm just going to go ahead and let the cat out of the bag right now. It is actually about measuring the distance to the sun, not from anyone else's observations, but from my own. The same way I did the observation and went through the mathematics to show that the International Space Station is 1, not a fucking plane, and 2, is in space, and 3, is in a fucking vacuum, I will be doing the same type of thing to show the distance to the sun. It's not impossible, Jeranism. You're just a fucking idiot.
Same angular size. Or the idiots like Brian Cox, who actually said, and I quote, "Nobody in human history, as far as I know, has thought that the world was flat." Let me say that.
I mean,
that doesn't really prove anything. Yeah, Brian Cox, even I don't know the clip that he's talking about, but even if Brian Cox said that and you go and say, no, look, we have plenty of civilizations from 2,500 years ago that think the earth was flat, then you're like, okay, well, that's just proving my point even more. 2,500 years ago, we've moved beyond that. Why do you want to take us back to that point in our time that was so obviously misunderstood? I mean, they didn't even know continents existed. Other continents existed at the time.
Yeah.
He basically is like, oh, all this modern day technology that has been brought to me by science. Fuck all this shit. We're living in caves, motherfucker.
Yeah, I mean, they should just stop using anything that's been made with advancements and get the fuck off the internet.
Again.
Yep.
This is a quote from Brian Cox, cosmologist or physicist or theoretical.
Again, he was probably talking about modern day scientists.
Said, and I quote, "Nobody in human history, as far as I know, has thought that the world was flat." So I guess Brian Cox in his college education may have missed when they talked about the Babylonians. Did he miss when they talked about the Egyptians? Oh. How about names like, I know these are rare, you may have never heard of the Mayans. I don't know if you've heard of them. How about the...
Right, the thing that he's not really thinking about here is that all these civilizations didn't really think about the shape of the Earth. I mean, as far as they were concerned, their world was just what they could see. You know?
Also, just pointing this out, the Japanese, they have their own space program. The Chinese have their own space program. Australians, the Australians have a few of their own satellites. And
We have one, honest, in the UK. We do.
Yep. Indian, they also
is
have
Israel?
A few. Israel. They had an astronaut. So, basically, you're comparing what people thought then to what people know now. Guess what? You're comparing apples to oranges there, buddy, and then bitching and moaning that your apple doesn't taste like an orange. Fuck you again.
I have a question, Red. Maybe you'll have the answer to this. Is the Galileo network of satellites, that's the European GPS, is that correct?
I believe so. I could be wrong on that, though.
Is it consistent with our GPS? Like, can our phones use the Galilean network, or do our phones and our GPS devices, even though, because we can still use our satellites because they go around the Earth, so we're not missing anything, but I'm just saying, I guess, do we use the Galilean network as well, or do we only use our GPS network?
That I don't know. That would require a little bit of investigating on Google. A little bit of Google foo.
I just started thinking about that last night, and I was like, I wonder if we actually use that in our navigation over here in America.
I know there is some devices that use both to get a better signal, but I'm not sure if it's just a standard thing or not.
How about the Incas? How about the Navajo? How about the
They all lived
Norse?
thousands of years ago, Jism. Shut up.
Nobody in the history of human history.
And they're all dead
as
now.
I know,
They don't
has ever
exist
thought
now.
the world was flat.
The
That is a
ancient
jackass
part of
statement
it.
if there ever was one. But or they tell you that you can easily.
Did you know that the moon didn't start glowing until 1977? What? The actual...
Yeah, you could tell that's a highly exposed moon right there.
Okay, so ladies and gentlemen, that is your stupid nuke for the day. I'm sure that there's going to be more of them as this clip goes on.
I'll just ask my mum and dad if the moon randomly started glowing one year.
Nothing to see here, folks. Nothing to see here.
40,000 mile distant moon, which is a joke in and of itself. Even though the inverse square law tells us that the light on the moon would be about at 1,000 miles from the moon.
So I'd just like to point out the irony that he is currently using math to describe something and try and debunk it when he specifically said earlier on in the video that maths can't prove anything.
Yeah, math can't prove anything. Proceeds to use math to try and prove something. Fails at it immensely.
And he's also trying to point out like the fact that he thinks because the moon's so far away, we shouldn't be able to see its light based on its angular size and stuff. But Sean Hufford did a video called The Power of E, which explains why that is a bunch of nonsense. So,
light of the moon should be 65,000 times as bright as it is from Earth. Give me a break. It's impossible. Go watch the moon landing films and tell me those guys are standing on something that is 65,000 times as bright as we see it from Earth. No.
All right,
freaking
pause.
way.
The reason why the astronauts aren't being cooked like a fucking magnifying glass is because the amount of surface area that they are able to get light reflected back onto them from is minuscule compared to the amount of surface area that we can see from the Earth. And guess what? We're looking at the moon from very far away, so that light scatters, which means its intensity basically starts getting lower and lower and lower as distance increases. The moon is not a fucking magnifying glass. You aren't going to see the entire sunlit side of the moon from a single fucking point. Jeranism. Get your head out of your ass. I understand it's tough. I understand you may have to bend a few crowbars to achieve the goal, but find some way. Find it. I don't care what you have to do. Get your head out of your ass, please. I know it's warm. I know it feels safe in there, but you have got to come out.
It's a lie. It's all a joke. So
I don't think he
we
ever
can
will.
get into. I mean, there's so many more. They didn't bring up the Foucault pendulum, which of course is their proof of the Earth spinning when it wouldn't even possibly work if the atmosphere moved along with Earth.
No. That's not mine. That's not mine. I actually like Bob's observation better, and the fact that he tried to hide it because it was so, how do I say, profound.
Yeah.
You know,
What does the atmosphere have? What does the atmosphere moving around the Earth have anything to do with the Foucault's pendulum?
well, that's the beautiful thing, because not only did they try to block the atmosphere, they also tried to block the heavenly bodies, wherever the fuck that means, and it still fucking showed rotation. So basically,
There's something you can't block in that experiment, Bob, and that is the ring laser gyro going around a sphere at a rate of 15 degrees per hour. You can't block that.
Nope.
If this got out, guys, if this got out, it would be bad, guys. It would be bad. And by the way, what I told you is fucking confidential, man.
Interesting.
It's very interesting indeed. Thanks,
So
Bob.
if we see a
Fucking
15
idiot.
degree rotation, that means the Earth spins. If we don't, then it means it doesn't. Oh, it's a 15 degree rotation. Well, yeah, we saw that, but I'm not going to accept that answer, and I'm going to try and find a way to disprove it.
Yep.
Intellectual
Let's go ahead
honesty, dishonesty 101.
I think people.
I bought this fucking crystal that's supposed to block heavenly bodies from some homeless guy on 33rd Street. And yes, he was at the intersection of 33rd Street and 666 Avenue, but ignoring that. But he told me this crystal can block heavenly bodies, man. Slips it over the gyro, nothing fucking changes. God damn it, what you're seeing here is confidential.
Sean Huffer just wants
to
me to
point
point out
out, Adam-
that we missed out the fact that EchoStar 11 did the 24-hour stream for a long, long time.
Yeah, but Jism wouldn't accept that because it was filmed in 360p.
Adam Hughes says, love you guys, gotta sleep. Laters, keep the globe alive. Adam, don't forget to go over to our new channel, Science or Satire, and be sure to subscribe. The link is in the description. I'm sure one of the mods will put it in the chat for us. And anybody that hasn't subscribed already, please jump over there and subscribe. Future shows like this are going to be on that channel.
Use your heads and think, if there's an atmosphere sitting on a spinning Earth, and the Earth is spinning, and the atmosphere is moving with the Earth, then there is nothing that would be affected on the Foucault pendulum.
Where does he even get that from? I mean, he understands that with a Foucault pendulum, the literal thing that's happening is the Earth is moving underneath it.
Well, I mean, I know where he gets that from. Fight. Question: do you have a Taco Bell near you?
No, we don't have those.
Okay, I need you to petition the government to build a Taco Bell. Then I need you to go there, and I need you to eat one of everything on the menu. This has to be an all-day endeavor. I'm talking morning to night, and you have to eat the breakfast menu too. After it feels like your gut is about to explode, I need you to shit everything on the wall. That's where Jism gets it.
You need to put that entire quote on a t-shirt, Red's honest.
Pretty much.
Please use your head. Please don't just trust people who try and tell you that they know what they're talking about, because
Like you mean?
they don't. So I just wanted to go over that video real quick. I want to check out some of my SAO COM 1A mission footage that I just filmed. Of so much.
Right, I think that's all from Jism on that video. Don't go to his Patreon, for God's sakes. Definitely don't do that. Right, what we're going to do now, guys, is take a brief intermission and play you a video that Team Skeptic has prepared.
A while ago, when talking about planes traveling...
So we will be back in a few minutes.
Yeah,
in the southern hemisphere, I stated that those passenger planes could be traveling faster than the speed of sound and actually be traveling much greater distances without anyone knowing. My reason for this was, of course, the jet streams. And what happened? Well, when I said it, I was laughed at and told it wasn't possible for passenger planes to travel faster than the speed of sound.
Jism, you're a fucking idiot. It is impossible for average commercial planes to travel faster than the speed of sound relative to the atmosphere around them. This is almost completely due to the plane's aerodynamics and the atmospheric drag. Now, you might think that you can just go up in altitude to reduce the atmospheric drag, but that also removes the available oxygen for the engines to maintain their thrust. So the height and path an airliner takes is calculated for maximum efficiency.
If you're flying east today, you're in a whole lot of luck. The jet stream, that funny little channel of high-altitude air that flows over the United States and northern Atlantic, is moving at unheard-of speeds, delivering commercial jets to their destinations nearly an hour ahead of schedule, the Washington Post reports. In fact, one Virgin Atlantic flight traveling from Los Angeles to London notched a speed of 801 miles per hour over Pennsylvania, which, had it been on the ground, would have been faster than the speed of sound.
Which is exactly what we've been saying all along. Speed is relative. In the case of an airplane, there are two speeds that can be measured. One is the airspeed, or the speed of the aircraft relative to the air around it, and the other is the ground speed, or the speed of the aircraft relative to the ground. The 801 miles per hour measured was its ground speed, which is relative to a stationary surface. However, it still wouldn't have traveled faster than the speed of sound if the atmosphere around it was also traveling at extreme speeds and in the same direction, no matter how close to the surface it gets. The speed of sound is completely relative to the speed of the medium sound travels through and has nothing to do with the ground speed unless the atmosphere is stationary relative to the ground.
All right, so let's go through it and pull out a few important parts. First, you have to be traveling east, which is the same way that the Earth spins. So remember, you're spinning 1,000 miles per hour, and so the atmosphere, which is attached to the Earth, and the winds are all moving 250 miles per hour or faster. And why do I say faster? Hold that thought. But remember that these winds are blowing faster than even the spin of the Earth in the same direction.
We are not about to go into the dynamics of the jet streams here. However, I will give you a basic answer to Jism's stupidity. The speeds of the jet streams are dependent upon the temperature differences between the atmosphere around the equator and the atmosphere around the poles. The greater these differences in temperatures are, the faster the jet streams will be. And the easterly direction of the jet streams is direct evidence of the spin of the Earth. Just as with the Coriolis effect, the warmer air from the equator rushes to the poles and carries along with it its greater tangential velocities, causing them to drift east relative to the stationary surface. Jism's a science-denying idiot, so I don't think he's going to get this.
So take a basketball, have an attached atmosphere, spin it, and then try to make the winds go faster than the spinning basketball in the same direction. Ridiculous.
Jism, you're dumb as fuck. The average human sneeze travels at about 100 miles per hour. So if you're on a plane that's traveling at 500 miles per hour and you sneeze, does the sneeze go backwards in your mouth? No, you idiot, because the speed of the sneeze, just like the speed of the winds, is relative to the atmosphere around it. So it's not ridiculous to think that a pocket of atmosphere moving at any speed could generate pressure differentials within that pocket that will result in additional pockets of atmosphere moving at slightly faster speeds relative to the atmosphere surrounding it.
Also note that it says that the jet streams can reach speeds up to 250 miles per hour or greater. That's just funny. Up to 250 miles per hour or greater? Okay, well, my feeble mind says that up to 250 miles per hour then is an incorrect statement if they can also be greater. You know, my car can hold up to 5 people or greater. Well, which is it?
Well, at least you got the feeble mind part right. Up to 250 miles per hour could be the average top speed of the jet streams, with gusts that could exceed that but not normally. As for your Honda hatchback that seats 5 people example, you're not taking into account that if we have someone sit in every person's lap except the driver, we have now put 9 people in a car that holds up to 5 people. So which is it? Can your car hold 5 idiots or more?
And so this is just a little quick example that I made here. Let's say we've got a plane going Sydney to Santiago, as we just showed. That travels 7,000 miles in 12 hours, which is about the average flight time. 7,000 divided by 12 equals 583 miles per hour. All right, but what about the jet stream? So remember, it's helping the plane with close to 250 mile per hour winds. So if the plane is being helped, well, 583 miles per hour minus 250, is the plane actually going 333 miles per hour? And then it's getting the extra 250 to end up at 583? Well, that doesn't sound very efficient, does it?
This goes back to what I was saying previously. The overall efficiency of the flight is dependent upon many variables, but for this example, we will only take into account thrust and atmospheric drag. If by raising the altitude you reduce the atmospheric drag enough that the corresponding reduction in thrust generated by the engine still results in a higher ground speed, then the flight as a whole is more efficient. However, if the tailwinds generated by the jet streams are not strong enough, then it is more efficient to fly lower where the drag is higher, but the thrust generated by the engine is greater as well.
So let's look at it this way. What if that plane was actually going 625 miles per hour, which we saw, ground speed. We also know that that's easily under the speed of sound. 625 miles per hour plus 250 miles per hour, which would be the most efficient thing, is 875 miles per hour ground speed. Okay, so a plane from Sydney to Santiago could be going 875 miles per hour for 12 hours. 875 times 12 is 10,500 miles instead of 7,000 miles. I mean, quite a difference, right?
When people do what Jism just did and say something really fucking stupid on the internet, I feel compelled to respond. So Jism, you're a fucking idiot. If a plane is traveling, as you said, at a ground speed of 625 miles per hour, and as you stated earlier, the max speeds of the jet streams are 250 miles per hour, and you added that speed to the original 625 miles per hour, you have essentially stated that the airspeed around the plane at 625 miles per hour ground speed is at best 0 miles per hour, because you decided to be dishonest and add the 250 miles per hour as if the original airspeed was 0 miles per hour. So until it gets into the 250 mile per hour jet stream, the air must be carrying the plane around at 625 miles per hour, which is faster than the 250 miles per hour you asserted to be the max speed of the jet streams to begin with. Even if somehow math decided to change on its own, you are still making the assumption that the airplane was in 250 mile per hour tailwinds the entire time, which also wouldn't be true. You can try as hard as you want to make things work in your favor, Jism, but every time you open your mouth, you sound like a moron.
So please remember, I'm not trying to make any new claims here. As I've claimed in the past, the planes can go faster than the speed of sound. We've just seen that now in the article.
You see what I'm saying? You open your mouth and you sound like an idiot. Planes can have a ground speed that is higher than the ground speed of a sound wave propagating through a relatively stationary medium, but planes themselves are not breaking the sound barrier. Think of it like this. How fast must a plane travel before the people on the inside of the cabin can no longer hear each other talking? The answer is, there isn't one, because sound is a mechanical wave, and the speed of sound is relative to the speed of the medium it is traveling in.
And as I always say, it's up to you to decide. You can choose. If you don't think that we've ever been lied to, then good for you. I'm smarter than that. I'm smarter than that.
All right. Well, that's the end of that video. Perfect. I love that Charlie Murphy laugh clip. That's like got to be the best way to clown somebody.
He's smarter than that. Yeah, sure you are. Keep telling yourself that, boy. Whatever you got to tell yourself to sleep at night. It's like, wow, the delusion is strong with that guy. Jesus fucking Christ.
Yeah, like when you first sent me that video, team, like I just rewatched that end bit about 20 times, just pissing myself with laughter.
Yeah. So
I think what we can do now is Reds is the reason why Jism is known as a flat earther, I think, because he has destroyed him on so many occasions. Reds, you told us about how he's kind of the reason for your channel being here. Do you want to tell the people?
Sure, I guess. At the before Red's Rhetoric was even a thing, the only reason Red's Rhetoric was a thing was because my previous channel got 2 strikes on it, which is now the Redshift channel. That particular channel got 2 strikes on it. I was unable to stream or whatever. So to make sure that that channel remains safe, I made a new one called Red's Rhetoric. And that channel was merely just a backup. It was never supposed to be anything special or anything that I was actually going to put any effort into. But I forgot to log out of it one day, and I went into a Midnight Shuffle, which was a live chat that used to be hosted by 13 Heathens, or a channel by the name of 13 Heathens. I think he still does it to this day. But anyway, we got a new guy who came in. His name was JC Camby, and he had a baseball bobblehead avatar. And as we were talking, we were like, "Hey, what's up?" And it was like, "Hey, what's up? I'm just stopping by. Heard you guys were talking, and I saw that the link was, available, so I just hopped in to see what's up." At that time, sniping wasn't a thing because Google had their shit together, at least to some extent. But as the conversation progressed and as we were talking, he became very hesitant on certain things that I was saying because I was talking about how space is awesome and everything like that. And then eventually he said something that kind of threw me back a bit. I don't remember exactly what it was, but he said something that was just idiotic. And so I stopped him and go, "Wait, you think X?" And he goes, "Well, it's kind of this, kind of that, kind of the other stuff." And then I go, "Wait a minute. Let me just ask this question point blank. Do you honestly think that the Earth is flat?" And he goes, "Well, yeah, I do." And I go, "Okay, what the fuck?" And then we started to get into an argument right then and there. And that basically turned into a shit show. So finally, he came back with a threat. And his threat was, "You know what? I'm going to make a channel dedicated to the flat Earth. Just you watch me." And then I replied with, "Oh, yeah, well, I'm going to make a channel dedicated to debunking you. How's that?" And ever since then, it has been a dumpster fire of such magnitude that there is now a conference dedicated to this fucking stupid idea that the Earth is flat. That's where the dumpster fire started. Make no mistake. It started right here, guys. It started with me because I said, "You know what? Fuck you. I'm going to make a channel dedicated to debunking you." And now, fast forward like 3 years after or 4 years after the fact by now, and we are having our debate on the Non Sequitur show. And Jeranism was officially, with literally nobody questioning it, not even flat earthers questioning it, Jism was officially made my bitch. And that was awesome. That was 4 years in the making.
What's the channel name of the guy who said he was going to create a channel?
JC Canby, and that channel became Jeranism.
Oh, that was Jeranism's channel?
Yep.
Yeah.
JC Canby was the channel that he first started out on.
Oh,
and
so that's right. You said you were in an online hangout, right? And he just
Yeah.
happened to pop in. Okay, cool.
Yeah,
Hell yeah.
at that time, you could actually click onto a Google Hangout link, join the call, and not snipe and basically fuck up the other person's live stream. But then Google decided to get a wild hair up their ass, and now that's no longer a thing, and we have to take the precautions that we take today. But before any of that, that's a different topic for a different day. But he came in under the JC Canby account. He said some stupid shit, so then I questioned him directly. "Do you think the Earth is flat?" He said yes, and then an argument ensued, and then he said the following. "You know what, Red? I am going to make a channel dedicated to the flat Earth. Just you watch me." And then I replied with, "Oh yeah? Well, I'm going to make a channel dedicated to debunking you." And that's how it all started. So
awesome.
So Jeranism started because I basically called him a fucking idiot. And and then fast forward a few years, and then we finally had that great debate on the Non Sequitur show where Jeranism showed that he had no evidence for the bullshit that he was spewing, and that he was officially at that point my bitch, and everyone knows him as my bitch.
I'd just like to quote Sean Hufford from that debate. "Would you like to forfeit the rest of your time as you're not going to present any evidence?"
Exactly. That was the most beautiful part of that, because the only person that provided any evidence for their model was me. I was the only one to do it. I was the only one to do the due diligence and actually conform to the rules that, by the way, he agreed to.
So that debate was...
I still get your videos recommended to me when I go to sleep at night, because I usually go to sleep at night. I'll put on, I'm not even gonna lie, I'll throw on Tau Ceti Alpha's full retard mode.
I've done
There's
it.
nothing better than to go to sleep to than that, and I will forever go to sleep to that.
Don't you worry,
to
it's making
that
your IQ drop.
series. But what ends up happening is because it's always like I just let the recommended play next, I always end up getting like about 2 or 3 Tau videos playing, and then I'll wake up in the morning like 7-8 hours later, and it's always on like either the Reds versus Jeranism on your channel, Reds, not on Nonsec, but on your channel, or the you versus Spurs Keysmo. I see him all the time, or that video all the time too, because it comes up. And he's another fucking idiot.
He is.
Red's debate with Jeranism on non-sec was the first non-sec video that I ever watched, and it was that was my kind of introduction to the whole debating flat Earth scene. I'd not long discovered the whole. I mean, I knew flat Earth was a thing, but I'd not long discovered it was such a thing. And it was like, Simon. I think Simon Dan had popped up in one of my recommendations, and I watched him first, but then the next thing I watched was Red's debate with Jeranism, and I honestly couldn't believe that somebody could be that stupid and just deny everything so much. So then I thought, oh, let's see who else he's debated. And then the next debate I watched was Red versus Debbie.
It's one of these things where we actually made it a thing where if I was going to do a debate with Jaren, it would be underneath a certain title. And that title would be Flat Earth or Round Earth, which model best comports with reality. And the reason why it was titled that way and the way the debate was structured in the way that it was is because we were trying to force, for the first time ever, for a flat earther to stick with only evidence for their model. That means don't attack the globe, because I won't be able to attack the flat earth during my time. I am only here to provide evidence for the globe, evidence for the round earth. You have to stick with evidence for the flat earth. And he couldn't fucking do it. Do you want to know why? It's because there is no evidence for the flat earth.
I've been asking for evidence for the flat earth since I started doing this, and no one's shown me any yet.
This is exactly why Sean Hufford had to call him out the way that he did, and why Sean Hufford, his quote calling Jeranism out should be made into a fucking t-shirt right the fuck now, and everyone should buy it.
Yeah, well, I will have some new merch going up after this. One of them is a t-shirt that is just says ... interesting Jeranism 2018. But I might make a Sean Hufford one because I think that would sell well.
I mean,
Reds.
His quote completely clinched the debate on that one.
Yeah. All right, Reds, what would you say is the dumbest thing Jism's ever said?
The dumbest thing that Jism has ever said? The dumbest thing that Jism has ever said was when I was responding to a video of his, which I don't believe is no longer up, but you can hear him actually say this. It's the Fuckery Counter Challenge Part 2. And in that video, you hear an actual quote from Jism, and it says the following. If something is true, it just feels right. It doesn't need evidence or mathematical proofs.
Oh my god.
That is literally, and he has the fucking nerve to call me the religious one.
I don't even know how to really respond to that.
Like that.
Like, that's just such a stupid way to live your life.
Basically, if something is true, it just feels right. Oh yeah, I don't feel like I have prostate cancer, therefore I don't need to get my ass checked. Proceeds to drop dead.
Well, he hasn't yet.
I don't feel like eating 75 Big Macs a day is bad for me. Therefore, I must be nothing wrong. Proceeds to drop dead.
I want a Big Mac now.
Yeah, exactly.
But they taste good. That's what I was thinking. But they taste good, though.
Yeah.
That's why it was really beautiful. What Kyle did with that T-shirt that you bought. And the T-shirt is "Science doesn't give a shit about your feelings. Evidence is the only thing that matters." That is actually, and Kyle told me, a direct response to that thing that Jism said. So Jism saying that, I have this weird feeling in my asshole that says that the Earth is flat, and I'm like, no, dude, that's diarrhea.
That's Taco Bell from last night, bro.
It's Taco Bell from last night, and holy fuck, dude.
I've had some odd looks picking up my daughter from school wearing that T-shirt.
Yeah, it's because they noticed the acronym.
Yeah.
Hey, Fight the Flat Earth, did you see my message to you in the internal chat?
No.
Go ahead. Will you look over there? Right there. You see that?
Right,
Can you
okay.
take care of that real quick?
I can't create rooms in my Discord. There's some UDSA now.
Oh, okay. Can you? Okay. Well, do you have a room where we can send people for the next segment that you can, for
Yes.
temporarily? Okay. So tell people whatever room it is. I'm gonna tell them what to do, and you tell them you direct them what room on your Discord server to send them. Okay. So I'm gonna tell you guys something now. We're not gonna start this for probably about 10 or 15 minutes to give you guys some time to submit whatever you want to submit. But we're gonna do a segment coming up called "My Buddy's an Idiot." Okay. So basically, what you'll do is you'll go into whatever room that Fight the Flat Earth is going to have, and we're only going to have this room for today's episode. We'll have a room made for the future. But it's just something quick that says, "My buddy's an idiot because," like, for instance, when talking about Jeranism, my buddy's an idiot because he believes the flat earth, or because he believes the earth is flat. My buddy's an idiot because he said that the sun sets because of perspective. Get creative with it. We're going to pick the best ones out and read them out loud. What room do you want to send them to, Fight the Flat Earth?
If someone could post a link to the FTFE chats in the UDSA Discord server, one of the mods could do that for me, please. I don't actually know how to get... Oh, wait, no. Invite. There we go. I don't know how to use Discord, alright? Leave me alone.
Also, you guys want to hear the second most stupid thing that Jaredism has ever said?
Oh, definitely.
The second most stupid thing that he said is that he found a beautiful glitch in the Matrix that allows us to get to the moon in 4 hours.
Oh, wow.
And that glitch was that he said that let's assume that the moon is trailing behind us as it's orbiting the sun. Okay, so we're assuming that the moon is trailing behind us in our orbit around the sun. Why don't we just get out into space and then wait? Because if we just wait for the moon to come to us, going to the moon would take us 4 hours because the moon would be coming towards us at 66,000 miles an hour. You know, as if inertia isn't a fucking thing that you have to worry about. So let me go ahead and just put this into perspective for you guys. If you launch from a planet that's doing 66,000 miles an hour, you're also doing 66,000 miles an hour because you started from 66,000 miles an hour. And then I told Jeranism to study Newton's first law of motion, please. So then my question then was, how do you expect to burn off that inertia of 66,000 miles per fucking hour? So you would have to slow down by that amount so that you can wait for the moon to smack into your sorry ass within a 4-hour time frame. And here's that perspective that I was promising you guys. In 2006, the New Horizons spacecraft was launched on a really big rocket. It's called the Atlas V 551. It had 5 solid rocket boosters, an RD-180 engine, an upper stage Centaur engine, and then it had a solid rocket booster kicker stage on top of that. It went into a solar escape velocity of around 32,000 miles per hour. So basically what Jeranism is saying is that in order for the moon landings to make sense to him, he would have to tell orbital mechanics to go fuck itself, build a rocket that would survive forces that would rip any normal spacecraft apart, find a way to turn flat earther ignorance into rocket fuel because they would need a fucking infinite amount of it, fight directly against gravity, and then achieve a velocity almost double that of the New Horizons spacecraft. Good luck with that! Not only that, but you also have to take into account when you finish the trip, Because Jeranism, unless you want to slam into the moon with enough energy to equal 1.4 kilotons of TNT, you would have to speed up to massive velocity of the moon. Otherwise, you're not going to land at a survivable speed. You fuck! This is how stupid you sound. So you suggesting that NASA do what you suggest says a lot more about you than it does about them. Fuck you, dude. Okay,
Yeah.
rant over.
He just misses out the very, very simple concept that conservation of momentum is a thing.
Yeah.
I just feel like that rant was so beautiful. I didn't want to stop you.
No, I didn't want to stop him either. I think both of those rants will be included in the cut-up version of this. So just again, to let people know, this is obviously a live version of Flefs Are Idiots, but this will be going down and going up on our new channel. Links in the description and in the chat. I'll be remaking episode 10 as a more traditional episode, using some of those beautiful rants from Reds and the video that Teams made and putting it together like a normal episode, and that'll be out either Monday or Tuesday. But for now, let's have a look at what people are saying for My Buddy's an Idiot, 'cause there's a few in there already.
Okay.
So William Sign says, my buddy is an idiot because he believes in because he believes space is fake, but the aliens are real.
All right. Dark Seed over here in the live chat says, my buddy Ranty is an idiot because he thinks the earth is flat, but proves it's a globe every single fucking day.
He's just really good at it. Anti-Flatter
Really good at
says,
proving
my
globe.
buddy is an idiot because she believes the full moon can charge her crystals.
Christ Puncher says, my buddy's an idiot because he decided to be my buddy.
Oh, Christ Puncher, you're our buddy as
Awesome.
well, so are we idiots as well? Dog says, then I went to space, now I'm a believer. Not a trace of doubt in my mind. I went to space, now I'm a believer. I saw the sea curve and the tide. Not really my buddy's an idiot, but Cornish Lowell says, my buddy is an idiot because he says moonlight is cold and rots his meat. Yeah,
Leah says,
radiated
Go ahead.
cooling.
Yeah, rotting meat. No, dude, that just means your fridge is broken.
Leah says, my buddy's an idiot because he thinks peroxide will cure everything.
Oh, it's not one of those drinking bleach people, is he?
But don't drink bleach. Don't drink bleach at all.
I remember the meme where it's like there's this huge tragedy of be like, my generation will fix this. And then underneath it, there's a picture of like Trump laughing his ass off saying, your generation eats Tide Pods.
You're right. Adrian Clark says, my buddy's an idiot because he once was convinced of something in the sky. He got out his telescope to view it after I told him it was clearly an aerial of a nearby building. Turns out it was an aerial. Your buddy's an idiot.
Radical the Unhallowed Knight says, my buddy is an idiot because he thinks he's my buddy. I'm not your buddy, friend.
Metal Jacket says, my buddy's an idiot because he believes in 9/11 conspiracy and that Jews control the world.
Those damn Jews. How dare they be good at finances?
Attila the One says, my buddy's an idiot because he thinks fluoride is poison and mind control, and he doesn't drink his water, so he probably doesn't have white teeth.
My buddy Nathan's an idiot because he doesn't know what diffraction is.
Hey, a question for the chat. Does anybody out there think that Nathan will ever understand diffraction? Akumu virus, my buddy's an idiot because he denies the YouTube.
Hang on. I gotta say this. Somebody make a meme right now that does diffraction. You keep using that word. I don't think it means what you think it means. Someone make that meme right now. Post on Twitter, and I will reshare it.
All right, Akumu virus. My buddy's an idiot because he denies the meat tube. The meat tube is real, guys. I don't care what anybody says. I know there's a lack of pictures. There's a lack of evidence. It might be the one thing I'm not skeptical of because I saw it with my own eyes. So there was a meat tube that used to squirt meat onto your Taco Bell tacos. Don't ever let the government try to hide that truth from you.
Matthew Trevelyan says, my buddy's an idiot because he thought lighting his own farts was a good idea.
Yeah, it's
Nox
not
says,
a
my
good
buddy is an
idea.
idiot because he thinks platypuses are beavers with duck bills glued on.
Sewer Tape says, my buddy's an idiot because I harvest bits of his brain while he sleeps. Well, that's your fault, but at least you're not the idiot, so good job.
Darksea says, my buddy's an idiot because he thinks ice creams are math.
Yeah, I saw that one. That was funny.
Attila the One says, my buddy is an idiot because he thinks fluoride is poison mind control.
Keon Ari says, my buddy's an idiot because he believes the sun and the moon are smaller and claims he don't know what they're made of. Yeah, we know what the sun's made of because we can use spectroscopy, and we know what the moon's made of from what we from from the samples of the rocks, but we also know the moon reflects the sunlight due to the same thing, spectroscopy. So my buddy is an idiot because he thinks one day he'll one day get out of my basement alive. Man, devil, don't ever let that guy out. We will never hear from you again.
Christ Puncher says, my buddy is an idiot because he likes to make YouTube videos whilst driving his car. Well, that's definitely flat earthers because they all seem to do that. It's mainly because their family doesn't let them do it in the house.
Sean Huffer says, my buddy's an idiot because he thinks something he thought he saw as a kid trumps evidence. Yeah, that's the whole fucking basis of the Mormon religion right there.
Professor Gaines says, my buddy's an idiot because he listens to B.O.B. Yep.
Yep. This just in, ladies and gentlemen, we got reports that a man has just crashed his car while making a flat earther video. Yes, I am now getting confirmation that he was using GPS.
Christ Puncher, my buddy's an idiot because he doesn't know what the angles of a triangle with sides 1, 1, and 1 are.
Brilliant. William
Fuck
Koch
you,
says, my
Riley.
stepdad's an idiot because he thought dinosaurs and cavemen lived together, like in the Flintstones.
Oh my god. My buddy, Man Devil, my buddy's Dick Holman, my buddy's an idiot because he thinks mobile phones cook your brains. That's drugs. If anybody here grew up in the 80s, you will know that's marijuana. It cooks your brains.
Dog says, my buddy's an idiot because his father was exposed to Agent Orange. Ooh.
Sean Hubbard says, my buddy's an idiot because he thinks something he's thought is yeah, the same one he said before, but hashtag no meat tube. So I'm the fucking buddy in that fucking comment. I didn't even realize till just now. So let me ding myself. And then I'm dinging you once for being my buddy. So
Lookapig says, my buddy's an idiot because he slapped his kid and blames it on the other person in the hangout.
BM Furball Pancake Hero says, my buddy's an idiot because he thinks the earth is only 6,000 years old. Yeah, your buddy's an idiot.
Yeah, definitely. They've been wrong since the flood that never happened.
All right, so we'll end it there. Keep them coming for the next time. We'll have a Discord open up. We'll put it on the UDSA server, I'm sure. So those of you that are already on Fight the Flat Earth server, you can join that one. Tech Satan, we'll get you in there, bud, because you're going to be. If I'm going to be a part of that server, then you're going to be a part of it too. So, if not, we'll just put it on the outside of it. Either way works for me. So, yeah. But we'll have a dedicated room that is my buddy is an idiot. And throughout the week, if you want to submit something, submit it. And on our next shows, we'll always read those off. We'll read the best ones off at least. Yeah, because that was fun. I like doing that.
Yeah, that was good.
Another thing we're going to be doing that we're not going to get into right this second because we're not prepared for it, but we will be doing it in the future. We're going to be doing birthday power rankings. So when we do our live shows, we'll pull up a list of historic birthdays, and we will power rank them live with you guys. Who knows? Maybe, here we go. On December 25th, we get to power rank Jesus' birthday with Isaac Newton's birthday. Ooh. So we'll open all that up every
Jesus
day. We
was
do
born
it.
in about September, and the church changed it, but we won't get into that.
Yeah, I know. I'm being facetious here. But yeah, we'll do birthday power rankings. We're also going to do a This Day in Science. We'll have a few shorts. We're also going to take members from the community, people that have videos from the community that want to submit, like for instance, let's say MC Tune, who's in the chat right now, or any Anti-Flatters who's in the chat. If they have a video they put out, or if you guys, so I'm gonna stop saying they, if you guys have a video you put out, what you can do is send us a 2-minute clip of it. And what we'll do is during our intermissions, 2, 3, 4, 5-minute clip, whatever, during our intermissions, we'll play those clips so it can give us a chance to step away from the mic and keep you guys entertained at the same time, and also help promote your channels and your videos as well. Yeah. So I think it's a great thing that if we can keep this going and make this a community thing. Our streams are going to be during the daytime. We're not going to infringe on anybody like non-sec or anything like that. It's going to be daytime, so that
probably
you can
like between
listen
10 and 1-ish EST.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, so you guys can have something to keep entertained during the day. Watch when you're on your break at work, or when your boss isn't looking, you can just watch it anyway. We'll have different guests on all the time. People like Reds are always welcome. Sean Hufford, Quickie Blindy, people that want to come on. But it won't be like Hangouts where you have a whole bunch of people on. We'll probably have one person on at a time to try and keep it a little bit less hectic. But yeah, we're hoping to make it a real good community channel. Have a laugh at the stupid, learn something, and just see it as like a daily chat show type thing.
Yeah.
Yes.
I think it'd be an awesome show to do.
Yeah.
So, hey, if you haven't subscribed already, if you're sitting out there, and I don't know how many people are watching right now, what is it, like 335 people? How many subs do we have on the channel? If we don't have at least 335 subs, I will personally go out into the chat and meat tube everybody. Okay.
There's 129 subs right now.
Go sub right now before I meet tube the live chat.
Like I said, guys, both Team and Fight the Flatters, these two individuals are Red's Rhetoric approved. So if you are indeed a true member of Team Cunt, you will do as they say. You will subscribe.
Subscribe to Science or Satire. SOS.
Yeah. You will listen to everything that has absolutely nothing to do with the meat tube.
Yeah, you guys don't want the meat tube. I'm telling you, if I drop the meat tube in chat, it will break the chat.
Yeah. Hashtag meat tube happened.
Okay. For everybody that's imagined, every time Reds has said, think of the flat earth, go eat a bunch of Taco Bell and go into the bathroom, put it all on the wall, and that's flat earth theory for you, right? Put all your shit on the wall that comes out of your butt. Well, keep in mind that before that shit was on the wall, it was in the meat tube. So you don't want me to bring the meat tube out. That's pre-flat earth theory, guys. Pre-flat earth theory. You don't want it.
Yeah. With that, here's what I'm gonna do. I unfortunately I have this thing called a life, and I have to go do things in that life that has absolutely nothing to do with flat Earth. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to wish everyone here a good night, and both of these guys, Red's Rhetoric approved. Their new channel also approved by me, yours truly, because of course. And so as the honorary leader of Team Cunt. And I base that authority on absolutely nothing. I say that all of you guys should go there and subscribe. And with that, I'm going to say good night.
Thanks for coming on, buddy. I wouldn't have anyone else in the Jeranism episode.
First guest. You get that distinction as the first ever SOS guest.
I shall hang it above my toilet, and that way, whenever I have the unfortunate side effect of the meat tube, I will look back and remember, you did warn me.
I'm going to send you a personalized picture autographed by me, and I'll autograph for Fight the Flat Earth as well, of the meat tube. It will say for Reds.
Oh, God. Not the meat tube. Okay. All right, I'm going to go, guys. Bye.
See you later, Reds.
Later, man.
And I think we will probably finish there as well. Team, that was fun. Thanks very much, dude.
Yeah, no, I had a great time. This is going to be, hey, I stand by what I said at the beginning. This is going to be great.
Yeah.
Ever since you've come on to YouTube, obviously everybody recognizes your value to the community, as your channel has shown how fast it's grown.
Thank you.
I think combining the two of us together for a show that has a little bit of science, a little bit of comedy, I think that's going to be good for the community.
Yeah.
I think this will give the everybody that's in the chat right now will understand in a month from now how this channel and this has the potential, like this show has the potential to be something spectacular.
Yeah,
So,
absolutely.
subscribe if you haven't.
And thanks for asking me to do it with you, team. That meant a lot. I'm really, this community is taking me on board, and I absolutely love it. And yours is one of the channels that inspired me. So thank you. And yeah, guys, please go and subscribe to Science or Satire. The link is in the chat. Someone asked if there's a Patreon for it. Not yet, but maybe we'll set one up soon and see how it goes. Team and I have to sort that out separately. But for now, thank you very much for watching episode 10 of Flerfs Are Idiots, Jeranism, with me, Team Skeptic and Red's Rhetoric. And remember, stupidity is not a right. Fight the flat earth.
Fight the flat. Fight the flat. Fight the flat.